Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Functioning Chat. I have a few guests, so let's get started. I know it's long, but it's catchy and it gets me in the mood. So, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming in. My guests today are Michelle from Big Valley Living and Jenny from Jenny Scratch Made Kitchen. Somebody's getting notifications, I can hear. We're here to have a different conversation, okay? And this conversation really evolves around don't forget where we came from or how it started, actually, is I think what the title I put in there. And I'm noticing over time, or at least it's my perception, it's almost as if it feels like smaller channels tend to be a stepping stone, if that makes any sense. I'm assuming you both know what I'm talking about, okay? I think for me, and it's my perception, that you got to remember that all the channels, regardless of their size or their experience with YouTube, we've all started at the same point. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I'll give you an example. So I'm going to pull your guys. I have your guys' information, but I'm going to state it for everybody, at least as of 2 hours ago, where it was. My channel just hit 1406 this morning, which I'm ecstatic about. Okay. I have over 100,000 views, which I'm ecstatic about because I never thought I'd get 10, to be honest with you. Okay. I've been at it for 1 year and 8 months. And I'll come back to some information that has to deal with that later. And maybe you guys know yours. I don't know if you do, but we'll come back to it later. Michelle, you and JJ's channel, Big Valley Living, you guys are at 3.88 thousand subscribers. And you have 239 videos. Okay. So you're more than double the size I am. Okay. Miss Jenny, who we all aspire to be like, is sitting at 28.9 thousand subscribers and has 893 videos. Okay. Hold on just one second. There you go, sir. Little man's being independent, so I had to help him with something real quick. So, the whole point and the reason why I state that is that there are some people out there that think I'm a big channel. And I'm here to tell people, and we all know, I mean, it's not uncommon knowledge. There are channels that are far bigger than me. There are channels that are far bigger than Michelle, and there's channels far bigger than Jenny. But the point is that I think all of us collectively, the three of us, recognize that the small channels are just as important as the middle, the big, the beginner, the intermediate, the expert. It doesn't matter what that is, and we'll get into that conversation in a little bit. How do you maintain what you started your channel for? That's, to me, more of what the conversation is about, but still hitting on some important points. Okay. Michelle, how long have you been doing your guys' channel? As far as the content creation portion of it.
Creation part, 2.5 years. I think it was 2021 when we put our first video out, the day before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And so, yeah, about 2.5 years with content.
Okay. And then Jenny, how about you?
I have actually been doing it 5 years.
There you go.
It takes a long time to grow.
It does.
And I've been watching you the whole time, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I loved it. One of the first times I seen Jeni. So your intro music is not my style. I will tell you that. Okay. But I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not typical. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like this or not. So I watched it. And then I was like, this is wonderful. This lady lives in a house filled with Halloween. She's got dark lipstick on, and she don't care what she says. I love her. So I'm telling you, it's a marketing scheme that worked on me, is what I'm going to go with.
Good, because I keep trying to lighten it up because I don't want to come across too scary.
You're anything but that. JJ used to hear your riff come on. He doesn't sit and watch YouTube for hours on end like me. And the minute he heard your riff, he was in there in the chair hanging out and watching Jeni off. It was funny.
The music was made for me by my son's best friend. They've been friends since the 5th grade. And when they grew up, he went to college to, I don't know if he's exactly what he went to college for. I know he's making music, but a music producer maybe. And then he spent some time in California with Green Day. So
wow.
He did my music, and of course I am a heavy metal mama. So he's like, let me guess, Jen, you want metal? And I said, absolutely. So now he's working on some middle metal music for me for the middle of my videos. I said, I need, boiling metal music, stirring, whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's great. And the beauty of that is that then it becomes your music. You don't have to worry about copyright material or anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me? Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Oh my, there's a squirrel. Sorry.
As long as it's your squirrel and not my squirrel, I'm okay with it. Okay. So a small here's really where I think the important thing to comprehend. Okay. I had a conversation with a close friend of mine who is a smaller channel, and she said part of the issue for new channels, and she's not a new channel, but she made the point. The problem or the hard part for small channels is figuring out. I can't talk today. I apologize. Whatever your niche is, that's the hard part, because you can be in multiple of those. Because me and her had the conversation about community, and I said, for me, it's more about the community because I feel like I reside in the food community, but I do other things outside of just the food community. Okay. She said, you're wrong. And I said, what do you mean I'm wrong? And she said, your niche is lives.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, it's not. I'm in a food group. That's what I stand by. That's what I go with. The platform of choice is lives. I'll agree with that. She said, no. She said, you need to go look at your numbers, and I'll bet that you're incorrect. And I did exactly what she said. Now, again, a smaller channel pointing this out to me. 60%, almost 60% of my content is lives.
Wow.
I have 257 live streams out there.
Oh.
I only have 91 shorts and 87 videos.
That's incredible.
I was blown away. But again, my whole point in that, it took a smaller channel to point that out and recognize that, to tell me what I was missing. I didn't see it that way. I just looked at it as a platform. Okay. How are you guys in what? I'm not asking for specifics on your numbers, but do you feel you put more videos out? You do live shows, shorts? Is there a separation or difference to that? Jeni, how about you?
I do mainly videos, and I do some lives, but I don't do as many lives. I am trying to do more because I think it's so fun, and I love hanging out with subscribers.
Yes.
But I actually had a large channel point out to me, Jeni, stop sharing so many different things. Niche it down. Just do one thing. Because I had sewing on here.
Right.
Plus, if you know me and you followed me for a long time, then you heard about my old house. and how I ended up in this house.
Yes.
I've moved that to a separate channel because the larger channel was like, you're going to lose subscribers if you keep putting sewing videos and talking about that other stuff on your channel. So I
Right.
split it all up, which isn't easy to maintain 3 channels, let me tell you.
So before I go to Michelle on her answer, I got to ask the question because it ties into one of the topics I want to talk about. Do you think that was the smart move for you, or should you have
I
kept
don't
it
know.
together?
I wish I would have kept it all in one.
Okay, hold that thought. Don't make another point about that because we will come back to that. Okay.
Okay.
Michelle, what would your answer be as far as do you do more lives, shorts, or videos, or a mix?
Definitely, I would say more videos. You know, we were doing Hump Day Hangout, and then when I went back to work, not even a month after I went back to my full time work,
Right.
our my job started going back to the office on Wednesdays.
Of course.
So for me to commute and get home and do that, it's been kind of tough, but we've talked about it, and I'm probably just going to suspend those.
Right.
So most of the lives that I do would be when I participate in something like this forum,
Right.
you know, or I'm moderating for somebody or something like that. And I have to talk to to Jeni about splitting up because when I started finding my niche and talking to people about why we really started our channel, I thought about breaking away from Big Valley Living. And then I thought about maintaining more than one channel. And I thought, no, I'm going to just have to do this and let the chips fall where they may because it just seems like too much work. I have another channel name, but I don't have anything on it.
Right. And actually, I do hear a lot of channels saying that specifically because another thing I'm getting the feeling, and I'm hearing multiple people say, and Jeni just confirmed it with what she said just a minute ago. The bigger channels are trying to it seems to me the bigger channels are trying to dictate to the smaller channels, this is the only way you're going to succeed. This is how you do it. You're not going to be able to X, Y, and Z unless you X, Y, and Z. And it's like, okay, I'll leave it there. And it will be the very first topic I want to discuss. I'm finding you need to be yourself. If you're not going to be yourself and you're going to follow somebody else, I don't believe you're going to be as a success, big of a success, if you had just been yourself. Would you guys agree or disagree with
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second part, which really it channels into the next topic, but Tony this morning, Tony and Joni at Creekside Maples do a Sunday service, which is Creekside Chronicles, and he made a comment that I think really stood out when I heard it. If you want to know something about me, then come ask me. If you want to know something that maybe I've done that you don't like, the only way you're going to know how I came to a conclusion or I did something or I said something is if you directly come and ask me. And to follow that in his quote specifically, the false accusers are rampant in our world today. Okay. Again, it's from a sermon, and I'm not getting churchy on anybody. It's what inspired this part of the next thing, which really comes down to make content you as the creator can stand behind. Would you guys agree with that?
Oh, yes, full-heartedly.
Okay. Do you guys want to add anything before I move around? I mean, I don't want to cut you guys off if you got something else to add to that.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I was reading the comments.
Richard.
I thought you were telling each other. No, go ahead. That's why I stopped. Sorry. I want to answer some of the questions that are being asked really quick in the side chat. If you guys see something I'm not catching, please bring it to my attention because I'm not catching everything. And hello to everybody in chat. I wanted to take the time to say hi, but I got a lot I'm trying to cram in this so-called 1 hour. Okay. So Homestead in the Wood with D said, my question is, I'll bring it up here and then you guys can see it as well. How do you get more people to come to your lives and subs? I don't seem to get new folks come to my lives. I love the folks that come by my lives, but never any new people.
Who knows? I don't think any of us really know how to get them.
And I
Otherwise,
think
we'd grow faster.
and I think that's a valid point, really, what you just said, because this comes back to the be yourself and put content out that you can stand behind. It has to be natural. If it's not natural and it's forced, or you're copying everybody, or you're repetitively doing the same material, you're not going to attract people to your channel. I don't believe.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
But I also think that it will happen. I remember my longest number was 1,000 to 1,300. It seemed like it took forever for that number to grow. Once I got there, I was all ecstatic, but then it just seemed like the wheels slowed down, and it didn't matter what I put out, how I was putting it out. It took forever. Now, I'm sure each of you have a number that's probably different, but still in the same like-minded approach. It doesn't always just happen. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely. And in the beginning, all you're doing is concentrating on how many subscribers you have, how many watch times you have, who's looking, you know what I mean? And you just focus so hard on it, it makes you crazy. Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to grow. I mean, it's still taking a long time. I'm not that big.
Right.
Comparatively speaking. It's funny because we all do have different perspectives, right?
Yes.
I would say, well, first of all, I think Rhonda at Mimi's Dishes made a good point up there, not too far up. Sometimes the bigger channels try to tell you and how to control your channel contents.
Yes.
And while I agree with that, I really feel like it's coming from a place of kindness on their part. I think that they're trying to help you avoid mistakes that they felt like they made early on.
Which is true.
So, right, I had too much going on.
What was
Sometimes I said that depends on the channel. Sometimes we're a stepping stone for that channel.
And me and Jeni know for fact exactly what she just said, because
I saw a recent video, Jeni, and I do know what you're talking about.
I know, and I hate feeling like I'm going on a rant, but we're normal.
Sometimes you need to.
We are normal people who are trying our best, and when people step on you or step all over you and steal your ideas so that they can have more content because they've been on for a long time. Their channel's big, but they've been on for so long they're completely out of ideas, so they take yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what the next thing would be for me, and I'll come back to the questions. I want to follow up, because this is the second part to what Homestead in the Wood D said. I see and talk to so many folks on their lives, but I guess I don't have the subs for them. It also seems hard to break into a new group or community. I think it's really about just getting into the community. And again, correct me if you guys think I'm incorrect on this. I think it's getting into the community and make that your focus. Don't try to branch out to 12 communities at the same time. And D, I'm not implying you are doing that or did that. I'm just saying that I see you're so anxious as a new, you might not be a new channel, but trying to make that influx into the system. You're so anxious to get to know so many people and get so many subs that you're willing to spread yourself thin. If it means getting that. Again, it will naturally happen on its own. I didn't get where I'm at just because I don't feel like it was because I had a huge shout out or I had a huge expose about Kettle Kitchen or anything. It was me going out and doing the collaborations. It was going and doing the lives. Now, my lives aren't blowing anybody off the screen, but it's consistent. And we'll get into consistency in a little bit, but I think for me, that's where the workload really paid off, was because of consistency and doing the collaborations. Now, some people don't like collaborations. I get it. I'm not saying that's an answer for everybody, but for me specifically, that's what I feel made my channel grow. Michelle, what made your channel grow, do you think?
Well, being part of the community got me over that 300 hump, and we slowly grew, and collaborations were a big part of our growth.
Right.
I grew measurably after Croctober, Noodle November, and then the 12 Days of Decadence with Pike Creek Farm last year.
Right.
So, I think we were at like I want to say like 264 because, yeah, Jenny, you just totally focus on those numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, each collaboration we'd get more. Then we'd be on lives and we'd get a few more there. And then we just very, very slowly trickled and grew. In fact, a channel who had been smaller than me, I'm not going to call her out, but I love her dearly. She just went boom and just exploded. And I thought, whoa, that's cool. And I just wanted to sort of keep up with her because we had been on for a lot longer. But you know what? She was working her hind end off, putting out little videos and coming up with great ideas and just put herself out there. But then as soon as I put out my video sharing about my having stage 4 cancer, I didn't know if I wanted to be that personal about it. But the overwhelming response by people who wanted to talk about it and share their experiences, even in the comments, was I just never expected it. I never expected it.
Right.
And so now our cooking is going to take a different we're going to start going more plant forward and plant strong. Right. So even our cooking, even in collaborations, we're going to take a different way of cooking and sharing it with people.
But one of the things that I think I discussed with you in the past, because I do Noodle November, okay? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that came up from last year, because it was the first year that I did it, because I'm new to this. I mean, it seems like I've done this for a while, but I've only been on putting out content for a year and 8 months. I am not an expert. I still feel like I'm a beginner to some degree. Okay. Mm-hmm. Point being, though, Shakima over at One Mom, Two Boys, Two Girls, 8 in All, she was hesitant about joining that collaboration, Noodle November, because she doesn't eat pasta, doesn't make pasta. She then approached me with, can I use spaghetti squash as my noodle base? And I said, yes, because it's an alternative. Mm-hmm. It provides a secondary approach while still doing the same processes in making spaghetti or pasta or whatever the dish would have been. Okay. Mm-hmm. I feel like plant-based is another approach that's not addressed in a big, large market kind of approach. But you can still eat the same way. It's just doing it different. It's not the same, but it is at the same token, if that makes any sense, at least from my perspective.
I agree.
Okay. I agree. Jenny, what do you think it was that pushed you over and made you?
It was definitely the collabs. I think collabs are key, but so is networking.
Yes.
Getting into meeting people and getting into the collabs.
Right.
Like, both of you emailed me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we met.
And that's how I met Tony.
And I do want to throw that out. One of the great things that happened from this connection today was, and we talked about it just before, Michelle started her very first collab with Jenny. Jenny took the opportunity to let a small channel come in, smaller than her, who had less than 300 subscribers a year ago in Croctober, and look where Michelle and JJ are now. They're over 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say, when you're doing the videos, we're doing them because we like to share our recipes with people. Why there shouldn't be any competitiveness. We're all kind of doing it together. So I don't care for the people who think it's a competition.
And I strongly agree with you on that, because I think there's a lot of that going on behind the scenes. And some out in the open, but that's not what we're here about. But at the same token, I think it needs to be addressed. It's not a competition. We're all aiming for the same goal, which is to get our content out there for whatever the reason is. And we shouldn't be fighting with each other trying to say, oh, I'm going to put something out because you did, or I'm going to do mine better than you did, or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, and I like to watch different people's ideas. I have seen some videos that have changed we used to have the same, how you have that 10 or 15 things that you always eat over and over and over,
Right.
especially when the kids are little. For
Right.
me, you're still living that. And so
Yes.
you make the things that everybody likes, and it's easy, and you fall into step. But watching YouTube, especially during the pandemic, we learned a lot of really neat ideas. I still have not gotten brave enough to grind up my peppers like Jeni does, and I want to because I can taste it when I watch her sauce.
I love one of the things I look forward to watching Jeni do, and it's something that's almost standard at almost all of her not baking recipes, is the Mexican oregano, and she
Oh
sits there,
yeah,
crumbles that up, and it's like, oh, I love
Yes.
that.
I love that stuff. I want it in
me
everything.
too. We do too. I just actually, it's funny. We keep like 3 of those really big containers always in the pantry because we use so much cumin, chili powder, garlic powder, and Mexican oregano.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny because every time I do a collab or in a collab, I think, okay, what can I make with my Arizona twist? Because
Yep.
And that's what I like to do here is show things more the way that the West Coast would do it
Right.
than in other places. I thought the chili cook-off was fun because there were so many different ways to make chili.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I think it kind of goes along with what you just said. You get used to that. You get in a routine of the 10 or 15 recipes you always make. I thrive on seeing okay, they used rice, chicken, and this and this and this. I make it this way. Why wouldn't I want to try to do it a different way to get a different flavor out of it? So
Exactly.
all right.
And I like to share teach people who've they tell you when you first start, or at least this is what we found in research, is who's your target audience. And back then it was 18 to 26-year-olds who have grown up on fast food, their parents didn't cook, and we just want to give them some basic skills and ideas.
I only laugh because I will tell you what my target audience was when I first started. According to YouTube, my target audience was females 65 to 69 who lived in the lower United States. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, I don't get that. I didn't target that group, but okay, I don't care,
Well, ironically, that is my core group now.
Me too.
Is it?
Yeah. I think they want to come visit. They want to come and visit and hang out.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a lot to go through. So I'm going to go through what I have, and then we can come back and converse. But there's going to be a couple points I want to stop and have a slight conversation. I do want to point this up. Scotty Too Hottie MTP, and I agree with it. Just be yourself, and something you're not is the way to go. People enjoy honesty than ones that put it up a front, and I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to get out of this. Number 1, be yourself. Number 2, don't put content out that you can't stand behind. Number 3, inspire someone. Even if it's one person, you've made a difference in that one person's life. And while that might not be your goal to initiate, in the end, you've succeeded at YouTube if you can say that you've done that, at least from my perspective. Would you guys agree?
Definitely.
Okay. Next thing, and I said we'd come back to this: small, medium, large. My definition of small, medium, large is different than Michelle's, is different than Jeni's. And I'm sure it's all different than YouTube's. It's contextual. It's out of a context of how you're looking at it. I think a channel that is small can range anywhere from 0 to 10,000, medium 10,000 to whatever number, and large whatever number on up. Okay. But I also know that that's not the case for everybody. So I think we all have to reevaluate. Excuse me. It doesn't matter whether you're small, medium, or large. We're all in the same boat together. That's really ultimately what it comes down to. Okay. Same as a new content creator, an intermediate content creator, and an expert content creator, or somebody who is very experienced at it. I think that has a way to also play the same way. So, out of all those terms I use, all 6 of those terms, I think it's important to realize that we all have something to offer, and it's not always just in videos. Just like I said in the beginning, that I had a small channel point out what I wasn't realizing. Small channels, medium channels, large channels, new, intermediate, expert. We all have something to offer each other. And I think a lot of channels are missing the boat on that. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's where we got going to get into the deep points. Don't forget the channels along the way. Remember the channels that helped you, the channels that gave you a chance, and those that support you as a person, not necessarily because they're watching your content. Because you can have a very close friendship or relationship with somebody who watches your content, but it doesn't mean they're thumbing you up. That doesn't mean that they're leaving a comment, but they're still watching you. So those relationships can be strengthened from people that just care about you as an individual. Okay.
It's kind of fun if you drop a video and you don't see a comment from somebody, you get a text from them.
Valid
You
point.
know that that's a friendship.
I love it. And I can't remember who it was, but I was sitting there in a conversation with somebody and they're like, "Oh, I remember watching you do your jam X, Y, and Z." And it's like, I didn't even know you watched that video because there was no comment. So I didn't know that. Hold on just a second. You got to make sure Serena goes into the cage. Okay. All right. Sorry. We have a little kitty and a big dog, and we're trying to keep them separated. So, I think the other thing is the point of the content you're creating has to be about something, and you should maintain that point. Okay. So I know that's confusing sounding, but here
I have a hard time doing that.
Okay. But consistency really in content makes a difference. New channels have a harder time with that because they're trying to figure out what they're doing. They're trying to figure out where they fit. They're trying to figure out what content works. I understand that. But I think once you get to a point and you find where that is, I think consistency also helps your viewership because they rely on the material you're putting out there to a degree. Jeni, you are expansive compared to what I am as far as the material you put out there, but it doesn't mean that you're any less consistent. Does that make sense? Okay. Would you guys agree with those comments or disagree? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. We learned lessons on that early on.
I think the other thing that's important is if it wasn't for subscribers, none of YouTube would be where it is. And here's the point I'm trying to make. Whether they're watching, whether they're after your videos, your lives, your shorts, whether they like, share, comment, the interaction itself, whatever that is, that's what makes us survive as content creators. And if we don't have that, you're not going to survive as a content creator. You're going to have a problem. So as much as everybody shoots for monetization is it can't be what drives you. It has to be because you want to put the material out there and you want to provide something to somebody, whoever that is. But I think if you're doing it for monetization, you're going to fall short somewhere. Something's going to happen somewhere along the line, and you will be unable to continue that if that's the drive only behind you. And
monetization isn't all that it's cracked up to be. I mean, you have to be massive to make a regular income on YouTube.
450
Yeah,
or 400.
How many minutes?
Yes, I agree with you. But let me get my point out here real quick, okay? The comments and subscribers will be what makes the content creator grow, thrive, and excel. And I already said this monetization can't be what drives you. It can be a part of it, but you have to maintain the drive that you initially set out, and that should be your focus. That's coming from me as a content creator and a subscriber. Because if I know somebody's out there doing it and it's just about monetization, I'm going to be less likely to follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And all of us, I'm sure, and Jeni specifically, can attest, you do not get rich off of YouTube and monetization. Okay. I know people that have had 2, 3, 4, 5,000 that haven't even made $500 since they've been monetized for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it does happen. I mean, it's not a windfall. You can't look at it that way. So it should be something that that desire and drive has to be behind you for a different reason. That's why I make that statement. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a retirement plan.
No, Jeni.
Nope. And believe me, I quit my job so I could stay home and work. But, I did it knowing I need 7 streams of income to stay at home. So I have to do all these other little things.
Right. And every situation is different, because yours is going to be different than Michelle's, which is different than mine, which is different than somebody else's, So the one size fits all everything doesn't seem to work. It doesn't apply to everybody, but everybody thinks it does, and it shouldn't.
Right.
So I'm going to look at comments real quick here.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, it jumped way up. There's been a lot of comments I didn't realize. Sorry, guys.
Lynn is asking what MTP is.
That would be for Scotty Hottie. Scotty Too Hottie. I'm not sure what MTP stands for, so we'll find out. So ultimately, here's what the whole thing is that I've been trying to get out there. It doesn't matter what channel size is. It doesn't matter how experienced they are. It doesn't really matter even what their content niche is. But at the same token, it does. And where it does is making sure that you're putting content out there that people can find consistent, that people can learn from. Make sure you're inspiring someone. Make sure you're being yourself. And make sure whatever the content is, you can stand behind it. That's the important thing, because without that, you don't grow. Now, that all being said, Jeni, you as a bigger channel, what do you see from your perspective? Without really going into a lot of detail, and you'll understand what I mean, what are the things that you see channels doing that seem to not help them progress?
Let me think about it.
Okay.
I guess everybody has their own style of filming. I know I do. And when you look at some of the comments that people leave you, when I was having camera issues, the lighting, this and that, I'm never coming back to your channel because your lighting sucks. You know what I mean? So then you're like, okay, you got to make sure your lighting's perfect. You got to make sure this or that, or you know what I mean? So I guess pay attention to your comments and adjust, but you're never going to make everybody happy.
Right.
But being consistent, I think, is the biggest thing about survival.
Right.
You have to be consistent. You have to post. I had somebody tell me the other day, and she's a friend of mine. She's also a YouTuber, but she's doing all her own research on YouTube. And she said, Jeni, if you post every day, it's going to mess up your rhythm. Don't post every day. And I thought, I didn't know that, because I used to post every day. And then last week the week before last, I did really well and posted most days. But then last week, I really didn't, because I was so busy. And last weekend, my dog got out and we lost him. He was gone all night long. He's 17. He's completely deaf, and he's little. It was awful. It was the worst weekend. So that kind of wrecked my entire week. I found him, by the way. He's completely fine, but still, the thought of losing him was like, that would have crushed me. So, last week I didn't post hardly anything. It didn't really take a toll on my channel, thank goodness, but
right.
It just makes me wonder. I don't know, but consistency is really the key. So I do see channels that, will post, and then it'll be like 2 months before they post something else.
Right.
So you have to post if you want to make it.
Yep. So Michelle, I want you to go ahead and tell your thought process on what you see that might hamper a channel's success. I got to run and do something real quick, so please do that. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, and I agree about consistency because I haven't always been very consistent. When we started, we did Sundays and Wednesdays. Then we started doing collaborations, and that would bite into the time that we spent doing it. So I would consider that part of my consistency. And then just the type of work that I do outside of the house to pay the bills, it has ebbs and flows. And there are just times where it doesn't fit into my lifestyle. And I'm not the kind of person that has 3 or 4 videos in the queue ready to upload if I didn't do something.
Yeah.
That's why we started doing lives on Wednesdays, actually, because it kept us consistent, at least doing that. But we're not even doing that. So, I mean, I just have to set my times and get them done. That's what it all boils down to.
And unfortunately, life is so uncertain. Things happen, as you and I both know.
Yep. And so you have to make that commitment somehow, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like to dump a lot on because then I know that I'll burn myself out. I had a video all ready to go, and I don't know how I did it, but I deleted all of the back files.
I have done that.
It's going to go out today, and it was in my Premiere program, ready to go. And as I played it, it wouldn't play. I went back and looked in the file, and it was gone. And this is the first time I've ever deleted all of my camera video files too. So there's a reason for everything, right?
Yeah. Mine have disappeared too. Unfortunately, stuff like that happens, and
yeah,
we just kind of have to roll with the punches. Keep on going.
Yep.
As you guys know, I've had technical issues, so lighting, camera.
Right.
I mean, I've had technical issues, and then on top of that, my website went down. I cannot figure out what is going on, and neither can.
You still can't figure it out?
Oh, wow.
I have been emailing back and forth with Bluehost, and WordPress does not do any work with the website stuff. You have to actually go find somebody who specializes in WordPress and pay them yourself.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
It's like I've paid for the year for both of these companies, and they can't figure out, and Bluehost can't figure it out. I really don't think it's their job. I think it's WordPress's job, but Bluehost has been so nice to help me try to figure it out. But they'll look at it and they'll send me an email. Everything looks fine to me. I'm like, it's not fine.
Right. It's obviously not working for a reason.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not like I'm a wealthy person that can just shell out $500 every time I have a computer issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it does become expensive after time.
It does. And by the way, running a YouTube channel and a blog and doing the things that we do is not free. So when we're putting the videos to get monetized, you have to pay up front for all that stuff before you can even make anything back. And you're lucky if you break even.
Well, and in addition to that, I mean, I know, I want to say you've probably done it. I know that Michelle has, and I know I have. Sometimes when you're making a video for, say, a collaboration, and it's a specific item, you have to go out and buy that stuff.
Oh, yes.
You don't have it at home.
Yes.
I can only imagine what the total cost has been for things I went out and bought just so I can make a video,
Yes.
So there's that cost that you're never recouped for either. Definitely.
And for any of us who are doing cooking videos, we all have to go out and buy stuff. We can't grow everything.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And if you practice, I mean, if it's something you've made 1,000 times, that's one thing.
Right.
You probably have everything on hand. But if you're going out and you're trying something new, I will make it before I tape it at least 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then your spouse might get tired of that meal over the course of 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
That again.
Right. Or if you're me, you make it, your camera didn't record it. Now guess what? We have to make it again this week, Robert. Sorry.
I know you don't like liver and onions, buddy, but you got to eat it one more time.
Yeah, don't let him hear you say that. I hate liver and onions. I won't make it, and he loves it. He's always like, why can't you make liver and onions? Because I don't want our house to smell like it.
We'll send him up here, and I'll send JJ down there because I want to make it so bad, and he just will not have it.
Oh, yeah, that's me. No way, no how.
The other thing too Hold on. I'm setting a timer real quick. The other thing that goes along with it, and you guys kind of in a roundabout way have hit on it, and I think it's something that I do want to talk about. Let's go with that right there. Okay. Yeah, that's not right. So we got to go to this way. The numbers. Numbers are an ever present problem. Okay. Analytics on your content or your channel. You have to watch them. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay. You need to watch them so you know if you're heading in the right direction, if something works, if it doesn't work. You need to see where your subs are. If you're watching for monetization, you need X, Y, and Z. There's a lot of things that go around numbers. I learned this the hard way. If you watch the numbers every single day, you will drive yourself crazy. Okay. Yeah. And I know you guys have experienced that as well. Okay.
Every new channel does. Yes.
As well as don't watch them you can watch them, but don't let them penetrate your brain because it will fry your brain. It just will. Okay. But the other part that goes along with it is if you gain 10 subs and lose 20 and gain 5 and lose 6, and then you gain 19 and lose 11, don't freak out about it. It's the natural process of YouTube. Okay. On top of it, like me, and I've really learned to just accept it, collaborations, you will get false subscribers. It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
People think they have to subscribe to you when you're in a collaboration. They'll subscribe to you. Once the collaboration's over, you'll see your numbers drop off.
Yep.
Let that be one of the reasons why almost every month I'm either in or hosting a collaboration, so I don't get that big permanent gap. Does that make sense? But my life is consumed by collaborations. I'm here to tell you, okay? But it's the way I've chose to go. It's the way that works for me.
I got myself into that too, where I was doing way too many, and I did have to take a few steps backward when I had brain surgery, and
yes,
it's a lot to arrange.
It is. I mean, and you both
a month, and it was hard.
You both know it from a medical position, okay? I know it from I got 2 kids at home and one I'm homeschooling and we're taking care of 2 nephews who are getting ready to graduate. That is a hellacious schedule to try to follow just in itself, okay? Everyday life happens. Everyday life is an ongoing issue we all have to deal with. But when you're a content creator, you also have to incorporate that into what you're doing if you want to be successful at it.
Absolutely. Right? I think that kind of goes along with being transparent and being honest about who you are and what's going on. We've built these communities, and I love the community that I've built. I'm sure you guys do too.
Yep.
And I think it's ridiculous, and some YouTubers do this, but I think it's ridiculous to try to hide everything from the people that you're talking to most days,
Right. And actually that kind of hits on to the last point I really did want to talk about. I mean, because we've talked about a lot in a short amount of time, but really it goes back to, it brings us full circle to be yourself. Okay. If you mislead or don't inform your viewers who you interact with on a regular basis, you will bite yourself in the rear end, because you will start losing people when they pick up, wait a second, that's not what he said 2 months ago, or whatever it may be. I'm just throwing it out there as example. I think the way around that is to be honest. And so I'm throwing out there, if anybody ever has a question about something I've done, something I've said, something I put out, something that they've heard, I want you to ask me, because I'm not here to be non-transparent. What you see on my videos is how I live in my lives. That's how I live. It is what it is. Michelle, you've been to my house. You know how I live and what it looks like and where I'm at.
Boy, I want that yard.
The point is that I hope you got that I'm just the same with you as I was on live. There was nothing different about me.
Right.
And I don't want anybody to expect that there's something different about me, because it's not. It is who I
Mhm.
am. I'm a very caring person. I'm a very interested in making your life as better as I can from my perspective, but that I'm also limited at that.
Mhm.
I make mistakes. I'm
And you
here
have
to
to
tell
think about
everybody I
how
make
far
mistakes.
you get out there too, because you can spread your own self thin by, you know,
Yes.
you're going to stop and help somebody and talk to them about what camera equipment you
Right.
use, maybe, and then you're showing somebody else a technical how to on an intro or something,
Right.
and then you still have to do all your other stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think these two comments here just sum up basically the same thing. Jamie's country living. I only know how to be myself or be me. And I think it really reflects the type of video content you're going to find on her channel. She
Hmm.
is very much that way.
Hmm.
Christine, a true person will come out and a true false person will also come out, but it could be negative to that false person. That's what you need to watch out. The other thing that goes along with it too is, and we did hit on it. I think the biggest thing I want everybody to get now that we're winding down, we got about 9 minutes left. I want people to know that from the different perspectives of the three of us, whether that's size, experience, the content we're putting out, or whatever it may be. Okay. The overall consensus for most YouTube channels is be yourself, do what you can stand behind, be honest with everybody so that they know where you're coming from as well. And also make sure that if you have a question about any of us, that you would come to us and ask us. I mean, now if somebody calls and wants my credit card number, I'm not going to give it to them, obviously. Okay. But if Michelle wants to know, hey, you sound like you're rough in the video you did, is everything okay? I'm ask Michelle. I tell Michelle how it is. I mean, it's just the way it is. Me and Jeni have had very, very frank conversations before about things, and it is just the way it is. Be truthful and honest and be yourself. That's the thing I want to get out there. Don't forget the small channels help, because without the small channels, you would not be where you're at. Whoever you are,
Absolutely.
and whatever size you are, those small channels bring people. Those smart channels are your dedicated subscribers. So I'm
Absolutely.
done yammering. What do you two have to say?
I agree.
Well, you
Yep.
make this easy. Thank you.
Well, over time, it just, you learn. You learn.
Yes, you
You
do.
do. Plus, again, developing communities and friendships, um, I think that's important.
And having room for new friends. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah,
I've got friends now all over the country that I talk to more regularly than friends in town.
right.
And part of it is that we have a lot more in common. And I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have met them had it not been for this community specifically.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I value that. I mean, I
Yeah.
value the friendships. I still value my in-town friendships, but I relate more to a lot of people who are doing this.
Yep.
Yes. It's funny too because I think that all the time. I'm like, oh, I have a lot of friends here in Phoenix, but I'm in the desert. If you guys have been here, there's not a ton of people that do the same things that I do.
No.
And so, and especially, I don't know, my age group, I'm sitting here quilting. I
I
did the
love it.
quilting shop hop this week, and I'm one of the younger people, I'll just say. Even though I'm not really young, I'm one of the younger people in the shop hopper that quilts.
One of the things I was introduced when I first went down there was the senior communities that are all over the place down there.
Oh, yeah, there's those, but yeah.
There's others, and we won't discuss those, but I mean, there are communities all over Phoenix that are
Sun
like,
City. It
huh?
is Sun City.
City, Sun City is a scary place, and
Yes.
those people are mean. They congregate and they're mean.
Yep.
I was babysitting one day, and this has been many years. It was probably maybe 16 years ago. Robert and I were with our friends in Sun City, and we had Riley with us, which is my daughter's friend's daughter, and she must have been 2. And we had stopped at McDonald's, and there were so many people there, and they were not nice to the little kid. Let me just say.
Really?
Yes. And I was so upset I cried. And I said, you know what? I'm never coming back to this crappy city.
Wow.
Oh, and plus they drive around in golf carts and swear at you for driving too fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We
you're
have a lot of
30.
As
We
they're
have a lot
cutting
of
you
those
off around the
communities.
corner.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't live far from there, but I do not go there. I'm telling you.
So we got less than 5 minutes. Is there any last bit of tidbit information you guys want to throw out that we might not have covered?
I don't think so. I think we've covered everything. Just
Okay.
stay positive, stay
Yep.
consistent.
Yep.
And know that it can take a long time. It took me years just to get like to 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
300.
And
And
if
then
you're
it started gaining steam.
Yep.
And if you're still starting out and you don't have a network of friends, other channels yet, maybe email a channel that you watch that you're interested in.
Yep.
Mhm.
And make friends with them.
Now, I will in that be leery who you make friends with.
Yes.
I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just don't be overly open to just anybody. Make sure
Right.
you, in your own way, vet that person out or that channel out or whatever it is.
Unfortunately, we both know this.
Yes. Yes.
And then you know what else that I really think is important? I'm sitting here looking at, I didn't say that, so JJ must be watching right now.
Yes.
Never give up. And now I've lost my thoughts. I'm like, I know I didn't type that. But you know, I agree with Jenny. Reach out. I sent a couple of videos out to really, I mean, everybody was a huge channel to me when I did it. But I sent them out, and I think I sent one to you, Jenny. And this is
You
like years ago about the Cheerios.
Yep.
And I'm like, do you have any pointers? And I got responses, and you responded. And that meant a lot to me because I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, she does all this cool stuff. And you took the time to do that. And so you always have to remember that also, that you were that person reaching out and how you felt when somebody gave you the time of day and gave you constructive feedback.
Yep.
That is a very, very special feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two people that basically did what you just talked about was Leanne, Mennonite Farmhouse, and Jenny. I don't even know if Jenny remembers it or not. But when Jenny gave me the time of day without hesitation, I was floored. I was ecstatic. And it wasn't the starstruck ecstatic. It was that a big channel really is not a jerk just because they're a big channel. I mean, that shocked me more than anything, I think. Leanne, when I first was trying to reach out, and she was in Steven's Mr. Boots and Bounty help desk, she said, you ever need help, just reach out to me. I'll help you where I can. I was floored. There was a couple other channels that did help, but they kind of fizzled off right away. Leanne was the one that stayed with me and walked me through a lot of stuff. Okay. I will never forget that because of that. I will never forget Jenny. And there's other channels I could keep on talking about that took the time for whatever the reason was at the moment and either helped me through it, made me understand. Some of the best information I've gotten is from those that have been around for a while and know what they're talking about. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes you do. Okay. But it's valid information. And that's what is beautiful if you can get a channel to help you that way. So if you don't reach out, they're not going to know you need the help. And if you don't tell them that you need the help, they're not going to know you need the help. So you have to be the one to initiate it. If you don't find it in the first one, you don't find it in the second one, you don't find it in the third one, keep trying because somebody will help you. Okay. And I'm always open. If anybody needs anything answered, reach out to me. I have no hesitation helping where I can.
Me too, for that matter.
Right. Yep. All right, guys. We're at just about a minute. I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. I want to thank you too.
Thanks.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So Jenny's going to get sick of me by Thursday because Jenny's my guest on Thursday night. She's getting interviewed. And we just so happen to be co-hosting a collaboration right now too.
I
Michelle,
wish I could
what
show
would
you
that
this
be?
right now. I have had the Croctober from last year. That is my screensaver on one of the two screens at my computer.
That's cool. That's cool. So
My
we are
daughter-in-law made that.
She did a good job.
I love that logo. That logo.
Yeah.
We are co-hosting the Croctober for 2023. It's Jenny's baby. I'm just helping her. I don't want anybody to think I'm moving in on Jenny because I'm not. This is Jenny's. Even though she says we're doing it together, we are. I'm not implying that, but I'm just here to help is all I'm here for.
And I appreciate your help. You have been so helpful, and holy moly.
Oh, anytime.
This has been the easiest Croctober ever.
That's good. That was the point. That's what I was hoping. But
Yeah,
you have the playlist over on your channel officially. So if anybody wants to see it, please go check her out. I would recommend checking both these channels out. They're great resources, lots of information. And I'm still waiting for the day I can hit Jenny up to teach me how to make tea at home.
Oh, I
Come on
know.
over.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much. If you want to reach out to either of the channels, their information's the handles down in the description box for today. And if you can't reach them that way, reach out to me. I'll send you the link or whatever. So, All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you to everybody in chat. Thank you to those that modded, and we'll see you next time.
Nice.